Today, for the very first time, if you can believe it or not, we are here. Well, I'm here. He's heard it before. But anyway, I am here to hear for the very first time my very first ever Slayer album. This is Reign in Blood. Hello everybody and welcome back to another album review / reaction here on the channel. My name is Patrick Musilek and this is my friend Chris Schoenberg, also known as Present Chris, who's actually present this time. Who would have ever thought that this would happen? If you're new to the channel here because you are a fan of Slayer, know that that I am new to Slayer. In this video, this will be my first time listening to a full Slayer album. I have heard a few Slayer songs that I've had on soundtracks. Back in the day, I used to be big on getting movie soundtracks, WWE soundtracks, stuff like that. So I've heard Slayer songs over the years. I think in my head, I can hear what Slayer sounds like. I may be thinking of some of their later stuff, which I think, I've been reading on some of their Wikipedia article, they became a little bit more nu metal-y later on, or a little slower, I guess. But we're going to be listening to Reign in Blood, which again, according to Wikipedia, is like a very fast album the entire time, very aggressive. So I'm very excited to hear this. If you are new to the channel, over the last few years, we have gone through and I listened to the entire Metallica catalog from front to back. We listened to it out of order a little bit, but we have reactions here on the channel to the entire Metallica catalog. And it was the first time I had heard almost every one of those albums, with the exception of the Black Album. That was the only album I'd heard. But we went through and we listened to everything. It was me and Chris and another Chris, and we have so many hours of fantastic Metallica content that we're very proud of here on the channel. And if you found this video, odds are you may be familiar with us through some of our Metallica videos. But we are here, and Slayer is one of the videos that I've been wanting to do one of the bands I've been wanting to look into for a long time. Like I said, I know almost nothing about this band. I know that they started around the same time as Metallica, maybe a little bit later. No, I know they had 2 albums out before the one we're going to listen to, and this album's from 1986. So it doesn't matter. One thing I want to get out of the way right away is that we are not like Slayer experts or anything like that. I've done a little looking on Wikipedia. Chris is a fan of Slayer. I don't know what you would rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10.
Well, I thought I liked Metallica before we started doing Metallica.
Yeah, but you can't be people sitting on their computer like, you know, Kirk Hammett, you know, whatever, blah blah, Dave Mustaine, blah blah, you know.
Yeah. I don't know. I've listened to all the Slayer records. I mean, not as much as I used to because I've heard them all many times now. But I like it, and Reign in Blood is probably my favorite. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay,
and you mentioned that when let me back up just real quick before we get too much into Slayer. I want to say, if you are unfamiliar with the channel and this is your first time here, thank you for joining us. We are in a weird location because I am currently still in the process of recovering from a bone marrow transplant to hopefully cure me of my leukemia, which is something I've been battling and dealing with for about 1.5 years now. And I've been talking about it on the channel. If the cancer side of all of this stuff is interesting to you and you want to learn more about it, I have a whole section on my YouTube channel here about that. You can go check that out. I have a playlist of all the cancer videos. I've got lots of shorts just doing updates and things. And I have a brand new cancer update video that just came out a few days ago talking about our stay in the hospital. Right now, at this point in my recovery, we're about 30 days into my post-transplant, and we have we're about 50 days post-transplant, and we have about 50 to 40 days more to stay in this location, which is a hotel that is attached to the hospital that I've been going to for the last few years or so in Omaha, Nebraska. So we are in a hotel attached to a hospital. And so Chris came to visit, and so I thought we should record something, and we were discussing what to do, and I was like, let's just do Slayer. I've been wanting to do it forever. And so that's why the lighting's not great. That's why, boy, does my bald head really like to shine when there's a light above me, and there's a really annoying window back there that I wish I could do something about, but maybe I should try to find a way to stretch a blanket from across there or something. Anyway, that's not for now. But we tried to set it up in such a way that it was as good as we could get it, and I'll adjust the colors and everything after the fact, which you guys won't see any of that stuff, but...
And it sounds like crap.
And it sounds not the best, but if you recall, this is the way we recorded the Master of Puppets video.
Your basement sounds better than it does in here.
Well, yeah. it absolutely should sound better than a hotel room, but this is the same setup we had basically for our Master of Puppets video with just this microphone in between us, and so we whatever. I'm just saying we have maybe not optimum conditions, but that's fine. Slayer's not about, from what I understand, not about being like the most perfectly amazing, like whatever type of band. So we're going to just be raw like Slayer is this whole video. So thank you for joining us. If this is your first time, like I said, look around the channel, check out all our other videos. So, okay, so on to Slayer.
There's also a very long section in the Saint Anger video about what the word raw means in musical recording.
And then because of that conversation, we couldn't have that conversation or anything like it again after that because we just start getting mad at each other.
Patrick said the word raw, and I got a little bit mad right now.
No, we were just doing semantic stuff. We were just talking about semantics,
Yes.
which is fine. But
Saint Anger is not raw, by the way.
right, and it is exactly as we discussed. There's so much production put into it. It's the exact opposite of raw.
They worked so hard to make that album
sound the way it does. Yeah, exactly.
And it's great.
It's terrible. It's bad. Okay. But that's fine. We'll discuss that in a future Metallica video on the channel where we do our rankings of albums and stuff like that, which is something I know we're very looking forward to. Also, if you are a big metal fan, you're here obviously to hear us listen to Slayer. We'll get to it in a second, I promise. But we do have a Discord. We would love for you to check that out. We have a very small community still, full of people who are there because of Metallica and metal in general. We're also getting some new Beatles fans in there, so be nice to the Beatles fans.
Why?
Yeah, really, they don't deserve it. But we have a nice sort of metal community that's kind of growing there a little bit, but it's still small enough that you can send us messages. We'll respond right to you. I try to post updates there all the time. We do polls occasionally, things like that. And if we wouldn't have decided to do this so fast, I would have gone on there and maybe done a poll like which Slayer album should we do. But it just makes sense. Rain and Blood is the one that makes sense. It's their most famous album. Is there a song on this album that's like their most well-known song?
Rain in Blood.
Rain in Blood. And I'm sure I've heard that song.
No, the album's called Rain in Blood. The song is called
Raining Blood. Okay, I did. Okay.
Which is awesome.
That is really cool.
I think that's great because you could have just called them both.
Oh,
Rain
I see.
in Blood or one Rain.
But the album is Rain in Blood, like rain, like ruling.
Yes.
Okay, that's pretty badass.
And then the album, and there's a fun little thing at the beginning of that song that you'll probably giggle.
Okay.
And Angel of Death actually might be. Which one has more plays? Oh, Raining Blood definitely.
Angel of Death has 118 million. And Raining Blood has 232 million.
So.
Sorry, we have a camera sitting right in front of the screen, so if you see us doing this, it's because I'm dumb and our setup here is silly, but it works for this.
We're listening off Spotify today. This is actually the expanded edition.
Yes, so we're going to be listening to. We'll see. There's 12 songs on this. It's 4 minutes longer than the actual album itself. Or 5 minutes, I guess. So there's an additional song, Aggressive Perfector, that's 2.5 minutes. And then there's Criminally Insane, a remix of that. So I don't know what that means. If it's like a cool dance remix.
Probably.
That could be really cool. A little floor to the floor there. Okay, let's discuss Slayer for a little bit. Okay, so I want to just talk about a few things that I found on their wiki page that I thought was kind of fun. And then you can kind of tell me what you think about that.
You're going to make the window go away.
I can. I don't have to, but I can. I was going to leave it up there when we actually listen to it, but for now I can take it off if it bothers you.
It did.
Okay, that's fine. You want everyone to see the full package here.
Yes.
You wanted to see my mom's blanket on the back here. That's so hardcore metal. I should have taken that. Well, whatever. Doesn't matter. Who cares? Doesn't matter what the room is. We're here for the music. So I thought this was really interesting. It says, in a 1986 article from a dude at the Washington Post, Joe Brown described Slayer as speed metal, which he defined as an unholy hybrid of punk rock, thrash, and heavy metal that attracts an almost all-male teenage following. Which is funny, because do you think of Slayer as like a teen band for teenagers? Was Metallica at the time?
Yeah.
So that's so interesting to me, because now I think of it as like old man music.
It is old people music now. But in speed metal, I think. Not that I'm some historian or an expert really in anything that we're talking about, but speed metal is interesting because it's only people, or my experience has been that only people of a certain age, at least 10, 15 years older than us, which makes you very old, say speed metal, because nobody really says that anymore.
No, speed metal is not really a thing anymore.
because it's. I mean, that's funny to me that somebody at the time would have said that it's a mix of punk and thrash because thrash existed before 1986.
Right, and I think that's kind of why this article.
I'm sure that there are like bands, but like it wasn't really a thing. And if you're going to argue, like I mean, Master of Puppets and
Rain and
Blood were. They both came out in 1986,
right?
They're both like
seminal
the
albums.
ones. I mean, I guess Ride the Lightning existed before, but
and Kill 'Em All, which I think is maybe the most thrashy of Metallica's albums. I don't know. It depends.
And was that 1982? Was that when Kill 'Em All?
I think it was 1983. And
whatever it was.
1985 was.
We're not experts, people.
Yeah.
Tell us why we're wrong down in the comments.
Yeah, it doesn't. And the years, that kind of stuff isn't.
Kill 'Em All came out in 1997. Put it down there.
1997, the year Load came out. Which, by the way, shout out to Metallica fans around the world. Rejoice! Load Special Edition coming out with like 456 bonus tracks. Let's go! And I saw a thing the other day. Kirk in an interview said that in their tours coming up, they might do a bit of a tribute to Load and maybe return to that era, which it's like, of course they are. They're going to tour for their new album that's coming out or whatever. Not new album, but like Load is going to be a big thing that comes out for them this year. So they're going to do more Load songs. But someone asked him in an interview if on their next album they would maybe return to more of that era sound, which I think they kind of already were heading in that direction with 72 Seasons. It's kind of a good amalgam. To me, I like 72 Seasons a lot, and I know you said last time I talked to you, you haven't even listened to it since we did the reaction to it. But I think 72 Seasons is actually kind of a nice mix of like Hardwired to Self-Destruct and like the sort of more aggressiveness of that album mixed with like Load and Reload. And James actually like doing vocals that seem like it fits his voice. But anyway, back to Slayer. Sorry, this is what I specifically wanted to read. That same guy in that same article describes their music as, over a jackhammer beat, Slayer's stun guitars created scraping sheets of corrosive metal noise with occasional solos that sounded like squealing brakes, over which the singer bassist emitted a larynx lacerated growl yowl.
That's great.
I was going to say, that's the most metal description of a band ever.
We also have way better words to describe what metal sounds like.
We do. But let's go over that again. Slayer's stun guitars. What
does that mean?
I don't know. Created scraping sheets of corrosive metal noise with occasional solos that sounded like squealing brakes, over which the singer emitted a larynx lacerating growl yowl.
I think Tom's vocals are interesting.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I think you're going to find them interesting. This album starts with a pretty cool Tom vocal thing. But,
okay. Okay. It talks about...
But now, in 2025, instead of coming up with creative language to describe
you just
automatopoetically, or however you would say that, like an automatopoeia.
Growl yowl.
Like you would just reference something historical that most of the people reading the article would know what they were talking about instead of trying to come up with. So good on Ron Brown or whoever wrote that thing.
Okay, let me see. I saved a couple of things here that I wanted to...
Rick Rubin produced Rain and Blood.
I was going to get to that.
Okay.
I was going to get to that. It says, in particular, this is later on in the wiki article, in particular, the band's 1986 release, Rain and Blood, has been an influence to extreme and thrash metal bands since its release, and it considered the record which set the bar for death metal. It had a significant influence on genre leaders such as Death, Obituary, Cannibal Corpse, Morbid Angel, and Napalm Death, none of which I've heard any of their music. Though I've seen many Cannibal Corpse albums, I used to take and flip them backwards in the pocket at Hastings because I thought they were a little too much.
I bet you did.
Yeah. This album, Rain and Blood, was hailed as the heaviest album of all time by Kerrang, and it's a genre definer by stylists and stone cold classic upon its release by AllMusic. In 2006, Rain and Blood was named the best metal album of the last 20 years by Metal Hammer. And according to some other things, Slayer sold 4.9 million copies of it in the United States from 1991 to 91 to 2013. So almost 5 million copies of it, which is pretty impressive.
Starting 5 years after it was released.
That might have been when they just started keeping track of it.
Oh.
But I'm assuming, obviously, probably more. Also, is that when it came out, it was obviously released on CD, but did they release it on vinyl too in '86?
Probably.
So that's kind of
Wasn't
interesting.
everything come out on vinyl in '86?
Well, they were just switching over to cassettes. Well, cassettes were going, and also CDs were just a thing too. Like CDs became a thing around 1983, and by the mid '80s, everything was released on CD as well. So I'm guessing it sold more CDs than records, but I don't know. Let's see here. It also says Slayer is among the primary influence for bands such as Pantera, Creator, Children of Bodom, Mayhem, Darkthrone, Avenged Sevenfold, Bullet for My Valentine, Trivium, As I Lay Dying, All That Remains, System of a Down, Killswitch Engage. As I keep going, you're probably getting more furious.
Whatever.
Britney Spears, Poppy, Lady Gaga, Dave Grohl is the last one. It says Dave Grohl recalled, "Me and my friends, we just wanted to listen to effing Slayer and take acid and smash stuff." That's what Dave Grohl said.
Dave Grohl's cool. I bet.
Dave Grohl is
also
awesome.
says, I mean, nobody cool, but it's a Wikipedia article. They're not going to say anybody cool.
Well, but it
says Lamb of God and Behemoth.
Well, they were just saying that was bands that have list Slayer as their primary influence. That's nothing on Slayer. Okay, so then we have about the album's production, and this is I read this paragraph and I was like, I am so excited to listen to this.
Okay.
This says this album's production is noted by the band. The album's production is noted by the band Rubin's omission of reverberation, which King said made the album sound way more threatening. He compared the band's use of reverb on previous releases to the likes of Venom and Merciful Fate, saying we played in reverb land for a lack of better term. Upon hearing the album's mix, King said the band was like, why didn't we think of that before? Rubin himself said, when I hear very fast music like Metallica and the sounds are so big, the whole thing gets blurry and you really can't hear it. If the music you're playing is fast, and if the sounds are big, there's not enough space for those big sounds to happen next to each other. There's no punctuation. It becomes a blur.
Who said that?
Rick Rubin, and I cannot agree with anybody that's ever said anything more than that.
Man, I have tried to explain that concept to other people, and now I can just say Rick Rubin says.
Yes. He said, I didn't want the album to be a blur. I wanted it to be more of a pulse.
I've been telling you that for the last 20 years.
I've been saying that with Metallica. Their stupid use of reverb ruined Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets. Well, it sounds terrible.
It was a thing at the time.
It doesn't sound exactly. And that's what this article kind of goes on to say. But it says Rubin's lack of experience as a heavy... This was the first metal thing he produced.
Yeah, because he'd only done hip-hop stuff.
Right, and it says Rubin's lack of experience as a heavy metal producer at the time allowed him to work outside the genre tropes. And he said, I didn't have the baggage of the old way of doing things. In this case, forms of music were so new that the old way would have lessened their impact. It wouldn't have made them better. He said he limited his use of studio effects to what felt absolutely necessary. Rubin's approach to the album's production resulted in a stripped-back, punchy sound, which just makes me so excited.
Don't get your expectations up too high.
I'm not thinking it's going to sound fantastic, but I have heard... like remixes and stuff that people have done of Metallica's of Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets that they've gone back through and I don't know what they did, probably used AI. But there's a YouTube channel that people have recommended us in Discord where someone that's actually on our Discord, one of the members there, he goes into the files of Metallica and remixes the songs and he uploads them with no abundance of reverb. And what he's doing is he says that he's making a Ride the Lightning song sound like the production from a Black Album or something like that. But what it really is doing is it's somehow getting rid of the reverb and stuff, or making everything sound more. I've also listened to a few of the riff tape things, the demos and the in-mix process, the in process of being mixed songs from Master of Puppets, and it's way drier. And I love the way it sounds way more than the way the album sounds. And I don't think the album sounds bad, but like you said, it was a product of the times. And I've said that before in all of our Metallica videos. I wish we could get the first 3 Metallica albums mixed the way the rest of the album, Metallica, well, not Justice and not...
Black Album?
No, Black Album was mixed pretty good. Black Album was mixed really good. I think it could have been a little bit better, but... the stupid decisions they make, like the overproduction or the overcompression on Death Magnetic, the stupid whatever they did on Saint Anger, and then I don't want to even talk about And Justice for All, but those first 3 Metallica albums I think are really great. But if the production was more modern, I think I personally would like them a lot more. But That's neither here nor there. Now, I won't have any prior, like I won't have any be able to base this on anything really other than Metallica. Metallica is the only other sort of thrashy metal band that I'm familiar with at all from this time period, because that's when we started working on. And so for me, this is going to be a very, I think, educational thing to see what another metal band from the time sounded like. I know that they were initially hesitant. From reading the Wikipedia article, it said they were initially hesitant to have Ruben as their producer, but they were interested in the idea, and Ruben himself was interested in them. And so somehow they got connected, and they decided to go with that, and they ended up, I guess, obviously really enjoying the process and stuff. I don't know if he did other albums with them or not, but he said that they felt that their manager felt that they were on the cusp of possibly becoming quite bigger, and that this album could have been like a launching off point for them, which obviously it was. And so they did what they could to get a really good producer and didn't want to leave their record label, which was Century Media Records at the time, but Ruben was on Def Jam, and I think this album was released on Def Jam then, which is really interesting because it was the first metal record then released by Def Jam, and probably one of the only ones, because they don't release metal records now, do they? I think they release probably everything now, but so anyway, that's sorry. Jiggle of the camera. So that's kind of all I know about this. I like I said, in terms of Slayer, I know that they're known for being extremely heavy, like whatever that means to whoever, whether that means fast and aggressive or whatever. I did read that this album in particular is supposedly just very fast and aggressive the entire time, which is interesting. Excited to hear that. I don't know how I'm going to feel about the vocals. I believe most of the Slayer songs I've heard are probably from like 1997 and newer. So I don't know what that means in terms of like what his voice would maybe be changed. Like obviously James from Metallica sounds way different in 1997 than he did in 1987. So I don't know what the difference is going to be there.
I don't think that there's as much difference in Tom as there was in James.
He's a little bit more consistent.
Probably. I don't think that. We can talk about what
we'll talk about it when we get to it.
Things as we listen to it, but it is my personal opinion, not being an expert, being completely we don't do research specifically for this. Patrick looked up the Wikipedia page. Well,
only because people get mad at us when we don't do anything.
Like, we have to have something. And, I think that that's legit. But I'm, not going to go read a bunch of reviews of Slayer records before we come and do this. And it's a reaction channel.
Yeah, and for us, the point is to talk about the production specifically, a little bit, but also just how I feel about it. And for me, I personally feel like it's important to let people who are watching the video know, this is my first time listening to a Slayer album. I know a few songs of theirs that were used for WCW TV and then Freddy vs. Jason soundtrack and stuff like that. All those songs that I've heard of them are very dark songs with lots of dissonance, and the lyrics are all dying and death and blood and all this stuff. So I expect it to be that almost every song. And I think there's also a bit of maybe satanic type of thing, imagery and stuff associated with them, which is fine. I think that's kind of metal and fun and whatever. I think I just expect it to be. It's so funny because if you just ask me off the top of your head, what do you think of the famous bands? What do you think of Metallica? What is the first thing you think of when you think of Metallica? What is the first thing you think of when you think of Pantera or any Anthrax, any of those bands? And I don't know very much about any of those. I didn't know anything about any of them. Now we've listened to a few Megadeth songs, but never a full album, which I do still want to go back and do a full Megadeth album. But I was impressed. I almost like Megadeth's music more than some of the Metallica stuff I've heard, just from the few songs we heard.
Really?
But I could not stand Dave's vocals, at all. I think they were atrociously bad. It sounded like someone making fun of a metal song. So would not say that I enjoyed Megadeth.
Lucky for you, there are millions of people that share that opinion.
That agree with me, for sure. But if you ask me about Anthrax, I would think of them as Bring the Noise, the rap song, right? So I don't know anything else from Anthrax. So if you ask me about Slayer, I think of very dark, very heavy, which is true of all these bands, I'm sure. But specifically for Slayer, there's a darkness, or maybe darkness is not the right way, because it's not gothic-y exactly,
I know what you're talking about, though.
But it's like a evilness, like a darkness, which I personally really enjoy and like in music. I like dark stuff in music and everything. And also, they reference like horror movies and stuff on the thing, on their Wikipedia page. Like they were going for a horror movie aesthetic, is what they were saying, which to me is, I vibe with that a lot. I think that's really cool. I like horror movies. I like that whole aesthetic. And so if that's what they were going for, I expect stuff. I just, I'm excited to hear.
I don't think that Metallica's, I don't think that Slayer's stuff changed as much as Metallica did. Yeah, I know that the next album is slower, and that's like a big thing for people. And then like, right, there is the stuff about, you were saying when we were talking on the way up here, that like maybe around the turn of the century that there were some people that were saying that Slayer sounded like new metal or something. I mean, sure, I can see that, but it's not like.
But new metal probably took their inspiration from what Slayer was doing.
They didn't do fucking Ronnie.
Right.
There's no Ronnie.
Ronnie is one of my favorite Metallica songs.
I know, and that's why I'm saying that. There's no freaking cowboy hats in Slayer.
That's not Ronnie. You're thinking of the other one. But yes, Ronnie.
Ronnie sucks.
Not Ronnie. No, it's not. Ronnie has a sweet guitar riff. It's a really cool guitar riff. But I just think that, like, Metallica, when I think of Metallica, I don't think of their music as dark really at all. No. I mean, it kind of can be with some of the themes, but I don't think of it as dark. And I almost don't even think of very much of it as like super heavy either. But again, that's heavy. What's your definition of heavy? But like, but they were saying in the article that Slayer was a huge influence on death metal, right? And there are aspects of death metal that I like, that I listen to a lot. I listen to a lot of melodic death metal, like In Flames and Soilwork, and right. Well, the roots are in death metal. That's why they call it. So it's in the name. But
they called it that because they wanted to write weenie major scale riffs and still act like they're tough.
Well, we'll see. So I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see what this is like. Like, I know I was reading that there's 2 guitar players. They both do solos. So there's gonna be like back and forth solos and stuff. So that's interesting. I'm excited to hear that. Which because I've gone on record now as saying I do not like Kirk Hammett's soloing. I don't like it at all throughout their entire career. I do not like Kirk's soloing at all. You could remove Kirk from Metallica, and I think it'd be a better band. But it's okay because he doesn't do anything that really contributes to it.
There are people I think that would agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of
and
people
that's just
that
me.
don't. A lot of people, Kirk Hammett's their favorite guitar player.
Right, and that's totally cool. And again, this is me. Like, I don't know any of these other guitar players to this guy's Kerry King, right, is one of the guys? Yeah. The bald dude with the tattoos and the sweet beard, right?
Yes.
Very iconic look. I knew him. Like, I saw him and I was like, oh, that's this guy's in Slayer. Like, I knew of him. And then I think I know what the main guy looks like with the long dark hair, right?
Tom Araya.
The singer. And he also plays bass, right? So he's kind of like the Gene Simmons of
Yes, he is the Gene Simmons.
He's the Gene Simmons of Slayer.
They're exactly the same.
Yes.
They're just in different bands.
So, okay, without further ado, should we just get into this?
Yes, let's listen to it.
We are going to do well, it could be up to you. Do you want to pause between songs? We might as well.
Will.
It's only 30 minutes long. The album's only like very short. So this is my first time actually looking at the songs. Every song has, there's two in the middle. 7 and 8 have only around 7 million, and track 11, which is a bonus track, has 7 million. So we're going to ignore those. But the rest of the songs have around 10 million plays. Slayer themselves have 3,501,000 monthly listeners, which is kind of funny because Metallica, I think, has like way more. But that's fine. Whatever. Slayer is a legend band. Like they're an icon status that's not still around. They quit in 2019. I did read that. So track 1, Angel of Death, has 118 million plays. The final track on the album, track 10, which is Raining Blood, has 232 million.
On Spotify. We're looking at Spotify stats here. If we didn't
yes. Oh, sorry. Yes, we're looking at Spotify stats. That's right. I forget that you use Tidal, like the actual audio thing. So we've got, Necrophobic, Altar of Sacrifice, Jesus Saves, Words to Live By, Epidemic, Postmortem, all very metal stuff.
Yes.
All very metal stuff. There's 2 songs that are explicit, so we'll see what happens when we get to that. And as I look at the song lengths, which is, I feel, an interesting thing here, track 1 and track 10 are much longer than the rest of the songs. Mm-hmm. And track 1 is so much longer. I'm going to guess this album starts with like a minute plus long intro thing, maybe the long drawn out riff. I have literally no idea how this starts, but I'm going to guess there's a long thing at the beginning to build into probably some epic thing. I'm going to guess no acoustic guitars on this album at all. I'm just guessing that. I literally don't know. That shocked me when two Metallica albums.
The Metallica album that came out this year.
They both start. Yeah, that and Ride both start with acoustic. Also, I'm going to guess no instrumental songs. I'm just guessing, and I hope that's the case because I'm not a fan of instrumental stuff. I see a 1:40 long song, Necrophobic. Now, normally if I see a song under 2 minutes, I'm thinking that's an intermission to the next song. I don't think in 1986 they were doing that, so I think that's just a 1:40 song. So we'll see. I personally, one of my pet peeves in music, not pet peeves exactly, I'm kind of getting over it, but song structuring is a very important thing to me. I want there to be definable choruses in this.
Okay.
You know, I don't necessarily care that they go back to it 3 times like I would normally want. I expect with shorter songs here, there might just be a few that are like verse, chorus, or verse, chorus, guitar solo, chorus maybe. But I'm hoping that there is definable choruses. There might not be, I don't know. I did read on the Wikipedia article that one of the things that made them different at the time was that their albums were more based around, not so much around songwriting as it was transitioning from riff to riff. It said something about that, like about riff to riff. And so, but I mean, that you could say that of Metallica. I mean, it's literally just riff to riff.
Metallica, I think, is more... whatever.
Excuse me. We'll see when we listen to it. Okay, so... let's get this party started with... I'm going to move this down here so we can leave that up. This is Angel of Death from Slayer's Rain and Blood. This is a big deal for me. First time hearing this. In 3, 2, 1. Oh, okay. No, it's starting right away. Wow.
That's incredibly hard to do.
Probably. I didn't expect that in this. We'll see. Hopefully he doesn't sing like that the whole time. Maybe we get hair metal here. Power metal.
The meaning of pain, the way that I want you to die. Slow down, immense decay, showers that cleanse you of your life. Forced in, like how you wrong. Step down, your life work. Human minds for the angel of death. 400,000 more to die. Angel of death. Mark to the kingdom of the dead. Sadistic, surgeon of demise, sadist of the noblest blood. Destroying without mercy to benefit the Aryan race. Surgery with no anesthesia. Feel the knife pierce you intensely. Inferior, no use to mankind. Step down screaming out to die. Angel of
This is
death.
produced way better than Master of Puppets.
Mark to the kingdom of the
I mean, it's very different. It's very different. But I really like the way the guitars, the bass, and the drums sound. It is much drier. You can tell right away.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what we got going on. Also, he only sang one note this entire time. And I'm curious to see if that changes over the entire album.
Okay.
Purple fluid inside your brain. Pressure in your skull begins pushing through your eyes. Burning
His singing, he reminds me of the guy from Green Jelly. Little pig, let me in. Now, I know I've heard other Slayer songs, and so it's reminding me of that too. But his vocals are dry too, which is really nice. And I'm sure we're listening to this. I'm sure has been remastered.
Probably.
So I'm sure we're listening to a remastered version from some point. I'm kind of, the drums are interesting. I mean, they're just straightforward to the fight.
Well,
There was a double bass in there.
a couple times.
But I mean, like, during the riff part, it's much different than Metallica's, like, more gallopy approach.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I should also point out to people who are watching, I'm sorry, but I don't care about the lyrics at all. So, like, if you're expecting me to sit here and talk about how beautiful the lyrics are or what they mean,
Slayer lyrics are cool, though.
I'm sure they are, but that's not what we're... People get really mad at us on the channel. They're like, what, you gotta... A song is only... The music is only half of it. The lyrics are the other half. No, to me, the lyrics are 10% of it.
Yeah, I would agree
You know.
with that.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so they have it pan to the left. That's a good left guitar. Okay. Wow. Wow. Wow, so much more chaotic.
Like,
It's just like... Children of Bodom.
wow.
I can only reference what I understand, people. Okay, I get Slayer came before Children of Bodom. Whoa, that was awesome! That's cool! Wow. Yeah. Yeah, he's totally got one note. He's one note.
Like, what note he's singing?
Yeah. Yeah, he's just, it's, okay, hold on, we gotta pause now. Okay, okay, so that, okay. That was very punky,
Yeah.
from my understanding
that's
of
what,
punk.
I mean, that's what thrash metal is supposed to be.
Right, and so that on the Wikipedia article, they were saying they lean more into like hardcore punk or whatever,
Yeah.
which whatever that means. But like, yes, very much more like with the just shouty vocal, like just one. It was literally one note the entire time, minus that weird thing at the beginning.
I freaking love that. That's like one of my,
Yeah, that is. I mean,
one of my favorite things on Slayer.
I mean, I didn't. I was hoping he wasn't. I mean, for all I knew, he was going to sing like that the whole time.
Yeah.
I didn't think so because every song I've heard of them, he kind of does that like that thing he was doing.
Yes.
But yeah, he did sound younger there, I would say, than most of the songs I've heard from them. So that makes me wonder if I have ever heard Raining Blood then, because I don't know if I've ever heard
You've
that.
definitely heard parts of it.
Okay, probably the main riff or something. Yes. But okay, so that did not feel like an almost 5-minute long song. That was awesome.
No, and like listening to it with you was different because like there are some they go into those breakdowning parts
Yeah.
for long periods of time that have nothing to do with it, because when you think of Angel of Death, you think of the scream at the beginning and then the main riff and then that drum fill at the end of the solos.
Yeah.
And like that's the stuff that I always think about when I'm remembering it, and I forget like, oh yeah, there's like a minute-long breakdown thing.
I'm going to try to get in the mindset of riffs. I got to try to like, that's what I need to focus on here, I think. Mentioning that the drums were just straightforward, like, I really like that. That's what Metallica did later on. But at this time, Metallica was just doing that type stuff, you know,
Yeah.
the way which I like this way more. It lets the riff be the thing that's driving everything, rather than the drums driving everything forward. So this, I like that a lot. That was really interesting. The solos, if that's what every solo is, just like, that's gonna be awesome. But that's a really totally different way to approach solos, so that's really interesting and cool.
Yeah,
it was almost
sound,
like
not music.
Yeah, it was almost like how fast can you physically like
I think that was the idea.
do it, which is cool. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
That first riff that started the song, that was more of a rhythmic thing, and then when they went into the, I think was the main riff where they were doing the like harmony parts. I don't know if it was a harmony, but all I could think of, and I can only reference what I understand, people, but all I was thinking of was Primal Waters the whole time. I was like, this is just like every Primal Waters
Yeah,
riff.
well, because a lot of that was Slayer.
I'm sure. So now I'm like, and it's so funny because when Primal Waters was Chris's old metal band, and a band that I helped produce some of their albums or work on some of their albums, mix some of their albums and stuff. So it's something that both of us, I mean, you obviously, but like I know very intimately well because I worked very hard on the songs. So like the most exposure I've had to any single piece of metal music is the Primal Water stuff. And so like I understand that on a fundamental level, like literally just like can still picture the waveforms in my head of like the guitars and stuff. So when I hear things that remind me of it, I'm just like, oh, that's what you were referencing at the time, you know, which is really fun because I got that a lot with Metallica. But now hearing this, it's like, oh, this is much more that. Because when I listen to like Children of Bodom and stuff too, I think too, you know, oh, this is like Primal Waters. But really, this is what Primal Waters was like, which is really fun. And you are a way better vocalist than this guy. But we'll see. I'll see if this guy has any more range, because I just don't get the whole like. I mean, I guess I do get it. It's a punkier way to approach the vocals, just like a shouty thing, which is fine. But it was just one single note the entire time.
And like, well, for sure. And the riffs are the thing, and
right.
The intensity is the thing, and I've been on record many times on this channel saying that I don't really care about lyrics.
Right.
Most of the time, Slayer lyrics are cool, and like I think they're cool in the same way that like Rush lyrics are cool.
It's just like badass.
Yeah, and like it's all just weird and dark stuff, but like I think it's kind of
has a
poetic
meaning.
In a way.
I don't
think that they have much meaning, and like I know that there's been debate that you guys can go watch other channels talk about what Slayer lyrics mean or don't mean or whatever. I don't care about any of that.
Yeah, that's not for
But
us.
like they are like cool horror metal-y words that are strung together in interesting ways. And
yeah, and that's nothing more metal than that. And they probably in some way helped start that.
Songs aren't about stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be for sure.
No.
Anyway. It depends how much song there is. You know, if you're just Bob Dylan, you got to have something to it.
Songs were the most nonsense ever.
Yeah, but I hate Bob Dylan. But if you're going to do is sit there and do this, you need to have the rest of it needs to mean something. It needs to mean something. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know if it needs to mean anything, but you have to have a melody.
Well, okay. I'm just saying
That's what James does. James puts melodies in his stuff.
Yeah,
Mariah.
They did say, and I thought it was interesting that if you would have asked me, I would have guessed this. But they did say that they write all the music to a song first, and then they put the lyrics to it after the fact.
I think that's a perfectly okay way to do.
Yeah, stuff. I think that's how most metal bands for sure probably write. Okay, so now I'm really curious because that whole song felt incredible to me. Now every song is half that length. So what are we gonna do? I mean, if you have, how can there be any more intros? You know, is it just going to bang right into the verse? You know, or is there just going to be one verse in a song? I mean, when you got a 2-minute long song, what are you going to do? What do you think you are, the Beatles?
They are fast.
I mean,
that was me.
Oh, it was you? Okay. I did say, I read it multiple times in the Wikipedia article. They must be very proud of this. The average beats per minute is 220 on this album.
The average. That's really fast.
And there's probably a slow song that really brings the number down.
There's a lot of 16th notes. It's not like they're playing quarter notes at 220.
Yeah. Okay, so, all right, let's move on. This is piece by piece. We'll talk more about the production stuff as we get more into it. I need to hear several songs before I can talk a little bit more about the production. But, okay, this is piece by piece in 3, 2, 1. Farty bass notes in there.
Oh, yeah, I guess that.
Ooh, that kick sounds great. It's such a punchy kick.
I'm so glad that you think that.
No, it's a punchy kick.
And that's the first comment that we get about this, because...
Okay. His vocals are just the right volume in the mix, too.
Reverb there.
He actually kind of sounds like James here.
Yeah. It sounds like earlier.
Yeah, like Kill 'Em All like James. I can't help it. I'm listening to the lyrics and I'm just like... Ooh. Oh, that was a weird feeling thing in there. There was some weird feeling stuff in that. The drums are... I see what we're doing here. We're getting no structure whatsoever. Very no chorus in this song. Unless, oh, you did say the piece by piece part twice.
Yeah.
No, not as...
This is the chorus of the song.
Yeah, and this is the third time he's done it.
Dude, that's one of my favorite Slayer songs.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I like it.
I mean, pretty much every song on this record is one of my favorite Slayer songs. But...
I like it. Okay, so... Okay, so his vocals that time I liked a little bit better. They probably weren't much different than the first one, but for some reason I felt like he was moving around a little bit more.
Okay.
And I was listening, and all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, this is more like James in Kill 'Em All.
Yeah.
Which those are the vocals of his that I like the most, because I feel like James never has ever sung a screaming metal vocal his entire career ever, which is fine. That's not what they do. Mm-hmm. But this is much more metal. But it's not quite like death growl or anything like that at all.
But I don't think that's...
not what they're going
that stuff
for.
Really existed.
It probably didn't at this point. I don't know, but I think you're probably right.
I think it was still weird. I think that at the time, again...
But you can clearly tell what he's saying, which is very nice.
Yeah, I like that.
The volume of everything in the mix is really great, and I don't know how much that could be contributed to like this remaster or whatever this is, remix, whatever it is. I didn't do any research before. We just went to Spotify and opened it up. The only version available on Spotify is this one, and it's just called Rain and Blood Extended Version.
Expanded?
Expanded or extended? Expanded. It's just called Rain and Blood Expanded. So I'm assuming that it is some sort of remastered version at some point. Probably in the early 2000s is when they remastered all this stuff. But it could be more recent too. Usually it says when things are remastered, but the fact it doesn't say that means there's probably just one definitive remaster of this, and that's just this is what it is. Yeah. But I think the mix is great. The guitars are nice in the mix. They're very wide, you know?
Yeah, well, and the whole thing, one of the interesting things when I talk about Slayer and an audio thing, is they are very much the whole time setting up the illusion that this is a band, and go correct me when I'm wrong, but Jeff is on the left, I think, and Carrie is on the right, but their guitar tones are different. And like in Angel of Death, it's really cool because that's kind of a rare thing in metal to like actually have, like, it was almost more like dueling guitars, you might say.
Yes.
Because it's not like one guy played a solo and then the next guy played a solo. It was bing and then bing and then bing and then maybe back. I can't remember if it goes back to Carrie or not.
And they were panned, which is nice.
And it was only right, and that's another thing hardly anybody does. And it doesn't. I mean, yes, I know that James is always on the left, and dude, I'm better at saying James side and Kirk side than I am actual left and right. I get left and right confused a lot, but I always know James Hetfield's
side.
But that's like a thing. Like there's not.
No, yeah, and it's really it didn't bother me at all when they were doing the soloing in the first track. You're supposed to, your attention is supposed to be over there. Like you think, oh, that's that guy, and then it's this guy, and then it's that guy. In this song, no soloing.
Right.
Just a fast thing, what it was.
2 minutes long.
Right. And yeah, very punky, of course. The drums here a little bit more like I was expecting them to be on the first track. So I was that's surprising to me that they were that way on the first track. Maybe that's just we'll see as they go on. But
I have a point about that, but maybe it'll make more sense later. It might make more sense after Raining Blood.
Okay, well let's keep going then, because I'm enjoying this. We are now on track 3, Necrophobic, which is interesting. I'm sure that's a really pleasant thing. Okay. So there you can hear some.
Oh, there's reverb on this.
Yeah.
There's time-based effects of some sorts on the guitars the whole time. I have to.
cool vocal rhythm. I appreciate that he's sticking to the rhythm. Oh,
That's the best time.
yeah. That's great.
That's so good.
It is. Okay,
So you got it for what, 4 measures, and then it goes.
in the middle.
Yeah.
Guitar solo's in the middle. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was. Okay. Awesome. I appreciate that he's sticking to the rhythm, but I don't like the barely contained rhythm. Dang it! How do you do this? Okay, shoot. Okay. Yeah, okay, so I shouldn't have said anything during the song because it's so dang short. Yeah, the you can't get all the words out thing.
I know that bothers you.
I don't like it. And it almost, again, just like we've done this so many times, you would record vocals and I get so mad at you. What are you doing? If I'd have known that you were aiming for stuff like this, I'm like, no, stop it. Take some of the words out. Put a rhythm in there. I guess my understanding of what you were going for was just so... Stick to Britney Spears and Taylor Swift. But yeah, so not a big fan of the super fast vocals there, but very different. Metallica does not do that. And again, I know I keep comparing them to Metallica.
But how can you say in 1986? I mean, maybe not 1986, but sometime between then and now, how can you say that Slayer and Metallica are the same genre? If they weren't active at the same time, and both from California, and not that far from each other, right?
It's very you're right. That's a great point because when you listen to Megadeth and Metallica, that's the same genre.
Yeah,
and I haven't heard any Anthrax or stuff from that Testament.
At least there are some
that.
things that you can say that.
But this is clearly not. You're right. This is. Yes.
And as influential as Metallica has been on everybody, including, rock music, because I think a lot of times Metallica's a rock band.
Yeah.
Whatever that
Some would say
means.
that's when Metallica's at their best.
Some people like Patrick say that's when Metallica's at their best. But I think, and saying the death metal thing or whatever it said in the wiki article that you were reading.
was influencing.
But I was thinking about that on the way up here, that to me, Slayer just made extreme metal happen.
Yeah.
Whatever, if it's death metal or whatever you want to say, or
the black metal
or the thrash. It's that, I was gonna say black metal, and then
but that's what it said in the wiki article. I didn't save that part. When I was reading stuff off of my phone a little while ago, I just saved screenshots of specific paragraphs that I wanted to go over because it's easier to do that than to scroll down the article. But there was a whole paragraph talking about their influence, and there were so many bands that were extreme metal would not exist without Slayer. Just
that's
And there were lots of people who were bands. They were interviewing people from bands, and they were saying Slayer, without Slayer, we wouldn't exist. And they were all bands that I've heard of before that were very famous bands in these genres that I just don't know that much about.
But
you're absolutely right.
I mean, Battery. Okay, Battery's a thrash song. But it sounds different than this. But a lot of the Metallica stuff, I would say, even on Master of Puppets, because Battery's the thrashiest song on Master of Puppets.
Yeah.
I mean, Master of Puppets is close, but that Metallica was doing... This is off the cuff, so make sure you murder me down in the comments about this. But, Metallica was doing heavy rock music. They were taking what had been there, and Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath existed before this. I get it, and whoever else, Diamond Head and
Dio,
Raven, or whoever,
Rainbow.
Well, Rainbow rips.
Deep Purple.
Right?
But
yeah.
Yes.
But they were doing that and turning up and making it a little bit more extreme. But I would kind of argue that.
This is so different.
This is different than.
Oh, 1,000,000%. I agree 1,000,000%.
At least than what had been popular. I'm sure that there's somebody that's Kerry King just ripped off the riffs from the band his cousin was in.
When did Death start, the band?
After this.
After this, okay.
Right, well,
you can
I'm going to go look this up.
You can look, but yeah, I think that's a great point. Like, it's sometimes it's about the attitude of what's happening, and Metallica, kind of like you were saying, like, you can feel when you listen to Metallica.
Formed in 1983, but when did, like, the big records come out with Death?
87 was their first album.
Scream Bloody Gore came out in 1987, so that was after this.
So they were definitely influenced, and they were one of the bands listed as being influenced by.
On the other side of the country, which I think is notable in 1986 because Death is from Florida. But
okay. But what I was going to say though is like you can listen to Metallica, and you can hear this sort of like. There's like a showmanship to it, like a hair metal-ness, not hair metal like.
Yeah,
but like there's like
music doesn't sound like that, but
there's like a showmanship to it and like a theatricalness to it. This is not. This is just metal culture, like jeans and a tee. Well, I guess that's what Metallica was too. I guess I don't know, but this is different. You're right. This is like aggressive.
I mean, you can tell that Metallica.
Like if you had a whole album of Battery, this is, and it was even. Well, that's not even a good example.
Slayer doesn't have a load.
That's what I was wondering about. If they had ever done stuff like that.
And I think that you can tell.
Yeah.
From how does math work? 15 years beforehand.
Right.
That was.
That they wouldn't. They're not the kind of band
they
that
wouldn't
would
do that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, in my corner of metal culture, that like. You can change stuff a little bit.
Sure, and I'm sure I've heard slower songs that they've had.
Yeah.
That they've done. So
and like famously, that was like a big thing. I think that was a big story at the time when the next record came out. The next record is South of Heaven, right? I know it is. Not that I'm not going to go look it up just to make sure that it's slower.
Well, and the thing is, as a band, you have a full album of songs at 220 beats per minute.
Oh, and you got to play every night? You wonder, why do you think that song was a minute 40 long?
Right, because they couldn't play longer than that.
You can't play long. You can't play long.
But what I was going to say was then of course, your next album should be slower so you can mix the two albums together on your tour and have like a fantastic show.
And let the drummer take a break.
Sure, absolutely, that makes sense.
The thing that I'm surprised in, we're 3 songs into this record now? We've talked a lot about. You said the drums sounded good.
I like them, yeah.
And I don't disagree. I definitely don't think they're bad.
Yeah.
And I think I'm really close to liking the kick drum. The snare is fine.
I haven't heard the snare yet.
It exists.
I haven't been paying attention. I haven't been paying attention.
I'm really surprised that you haven't commented on how the drums are played.
Like, okay.
Because they're not great. I mean, compared to modern standards.
Yeah, but I feel like with what they're doing,
it works.
It feels more loose.
It
just feels that way. So it's like you.
But now, like that drum break at the end of the solos and Angel of Death, like I would have went and quantized that. Like it would have sounded.
Yeah, but it was so cool the way it was.
It is, and I would argue, and like I think that's where people usually come to is that like, well, you can hear that it's off and that Dave Lombardo can't actually play this the way that it's meant to be played, like because there's 8-year-olds that can do this now.
Right.
That didn't exist in 1986.
I can just click it with my mouse and put all those notes right in there.
There are people that can actually hit the stuff with their body and make it happen like that.
Yes.
But it works, and like that's the kind of there's so much good stuff like that in here. But yeah that kind of loosey punk thing.
Yeah, that's the feeling I got right away. So I was like, your brain just accepts that and for what it is. I'll maybe listen to the drums a little bit more on this.
But the Dave Lombardo falling down the stairs double bass is like a phrase that I have used and it kind of sounds like that sometimes. And not in 2025. Quantize your kick drums. Just program them.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to the next song. We got more to talk about, but we're already okay. All right, now we're to Altar of Sacrifice. This is a hefty 250.
Almost 3 minutes.
So all right, 3, 2, 1. Oh, hold on. Wait. Sorry, wait. I want to get the intro. We keep bleeding over because this is so dang short. 3, 2, 1. Oh, I don't mind the snare at all. It sounds like a great snare.
It's fine.
It sounds like a real snare drum. It's not like a hollow snare drum sound.
That riff is so cool.
he's so crisp and clear, his vocals. I don't know, I'm a chunky riff guy.
I know.
So, like, this is quite different for me. This is very thrashy, though, obviously. This is, like, what thrash is. I like that you can actually hear the cymbals. Now that I'm thinking about the drums.
That you can hear them?
You can hear the cymbals, yeah.
You're surprised that you can hear them?
Yeah, because so many modern records are not mixed like this anymore. You can't hear the cymbals in anything at all.
They're quiet.
Or they're just
I think they're correct.
Yo, I like the way the cymbals
sound. You think they're low-passed?
No, modern metal albums. This sounds great. This sounds like a real drum kit.
It does. Well,
which is what it was at the time. Yeah. So it sounds good, I think. I really hate that there's no vocal overdubs. But that's the same thing for me with Metallica, too. So, you know, what is different? It's just a different riff.
Yeah. Big.
That's so funny. Satan. I mean, that is the like stereotypical metal thing. Satan.
This is where the stereotype.
This is where it comes from.
Yes.
At the time, I can imagine people freaking out about this, though. I'm sure it was really banned everywhere and stuff.
Tipper Gore, big mad.
I mean, are there even any notes in there?
No, that's kind of.
Whoa, that was cool how it faded into the
stereo reverb.
Yeah, yeah. Retardando?
It is.
Let's go. Do you know how many bands couldn't do that nowadays? How do you program that on your laptop? Oh wait, we're going right into the next one? Let's just go. Let's just do it. This is Jesus Saves. I love how those songs connected. Oh! It's like there's a hint of a groove in there.
Well, there's a huge groove in there.
I know, but then the drums came in and you're like, oh. Is this a weird time signature? Whoa.
No. This isn't.
Not this part, no. Do you think that's multiple guitar tracks, or is it just one guitar track on the right, one guitar on the left? I'm sure there's been documented.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been listening for that, and I believe either. I don't think it's 4 aside.
Oh no. They sped up there.
Yeah.
Is this an instrumental?
No.
Oh. For some reason, this makes me want to play Tony Hawk. It does. That's probably the first Slayer song I ever heard was on the Tony Hawk soundtrack. I gotta look that up.
I mean, that's a death metal riff going on behind that solo. I mean, that is like a stereotypical
That's tremolo.
Death metal.
Yeah. This. It's like a waterfall, like a trickling waterfall effect.
That's interesting to me that it said something about Rick Rubin using only what was strictly necessary as far as like reverb goes.
Well, because there's some obvious effects things.
And like the thing with the guitar going stereo at the end of the other song or whatever, that's one thing. But like in that song, there are parts where there is just huge added reverb to the snare drum, and like the big bright long reverb. And it makes me think about the meaning of strictly necessary.
Well, and that might have just been something he said.
Or something he said or somebody that commented on it.
And the thing is, too, like, if you obviously listen to, like, this album and Master of Puppets, like, together, like, or in a row, it's so obvious that this album is, like, 70% more dry. Like,
and
like way much. And to me, the guitar tones here are just, like, I've never liked the guitar tones on Ride the Lightning or Master of Puppets. I just do not like the way they sound at all. Huh. It sounds like 10 tracks of guitars on each side. It just sounds way too... I just don't like it. I never have. And this, immediately, I'm like, this is what the guitars should sound like. It sounds so much better to me, I think.
I like these, and I think that they sound good, and I think that they work.
Yeah.
But there were multiple points, especially in that song, where... in rhythm tracks and in lead tracks. One of the lead tracks on the right was especially like that at the end. It sounds like an amp in a room. Like, and sometimes you can really hear it. And like, I like it.
Oh yeah, I like these guitars way better than the Metallica albums. Like, yeah. But see, then
I think on the left, which I'm saying is... If I'm wrong on that, like, I feel really dumb, but you can murder me. Please leave comments. The channel does really well. I'm not doing it on purpose. But if that's Jeff Hanneman on that side, I think that's some interesting tonal choices. I would not choose that.
Yeah.
It's really honky. It's really like...
It's
801 KE.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think the guitar on the right side sounds better. It's more defined for sure, but maybe that's playing. I don't know. I think you can really tell the notes that are happening on the. I thought that the first.
That's not what I was talking about.
Right? No, I know. It was the left seems to be more mushy to me, but that might just be a playing thing, and I'm not.
The guitars are just sort of mushy.
I like it.
I mean, I think that they're great. Of course I do. I'm like these are my favorite.
Well, and they're doing more. It's less. Like. This is more like it's heavier.
Well, but now, and nowadays, like you would probably try to record that in such a way that you could try to tell every single note.
Right.
Which I have done that, and I think that people are right to do that.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes we miss the point because this is what this music is supposed to sound like.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, and there's little timing differences on them, and like some of the timing is like so weird. Like it's on
the beginning of that song.
I'm not counting, and I'm also kind of bad at counting, but all this is in 4/4 as far as I'm concerned. But like some of the times when the notes change is odd, or like the timing is all just kind of like, it seems like the whole thing's being held together with baler twine and duct tape anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Like there was during that song. Well, they retardandoed at the end of the.
Yeah, there are a bunch of tempo changes.
So like they're doing that stuff intentionally, but there are clearly times where you're like, they sped up there, and I think that was intentional when I mentioned it. But also, I have to say the way that those two songs connected. That was pretty badass.
Yeah, it was super sweet.
It was really cool. So like clearly that could have if you would have told me that was one track, I wouldn't have even sure. But it was clearly two tracks. But like that was really badass and cool, and I'm sure that there's no way ever in their whole career they played that first song without going into that next song. Yeah, there's no way. So I would be shocked. But I mean, you could just go into any other song where there's a downbeat, but like, whatever. Okay, let's move on. This is really interesting. All right, so now
I'm surprised at how much you're. Well,
I try. There's not. If if I want to be super honest, if I was listening to the lyrics, there might be some stuff I could complain about.
Yeah.
However, I don't care about the lyrics.
No.
And everything else I'm hearing sonically, I like this. I like this. I've said it how many times?
That's what I'm so
Metallica is so disappointing with their early stuff, the way it sounds. I think Kill 'Em All sounds better than Ride the Lightning. I really think that. And I think that Kill 'Em All maybe sounds better than Master of Puppets. I just do not like the way Master of Puppets sounds. I think Ride the Lightning sounds better than Master of Puppets. The album, I mean. And I just do not like the way I hate And Justice for All because the bass is gone, but the guitars sound nice and dry on that. But it's so different from this. This is a different stratosphere of music. It just is different.
Yeah.
And I like this. This is really cool. Yeah, this is not
okay. I mean, that part I'm surprised by because
Yeah.
I thought you were just gonna say sound old, don't like it.
No, but it doesn't sound old because
It does sound old.
No, it doesn't though, because there are bands now that sound like this.
Yeah, I mean, kinda.
But no band sounds like Master of Puppets because you would never mix an album like that nowadays. This is what happens when you record drums, record guitars, and record bass, and the way they sound in the real world is what is being portrayed here.
Yeah, we're looking at that completely differently because you would never. I just don't think that the bands that actually play this fast now, that play this type of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, high school bands and
sure.
bands with 4 people that come to their shows like mine.
Right.
Don't count. But like you would never. The playing.
Oh.
And
See,
like
that's I'm not.
and the drum sounds.
See, I don't. Yeah.
Like that's
The
to
drum
me,
sound is way different than a modern record for sure.
But like I don't think this is bad.
No, I think this.
I think it's like if a record that came out that sounded like this, as long as it was mastered okay, I don't think the sound quality would make me turn it off.
I would think no. I would like it.
I think I would too.
It's
No, I wouldn't. I think if a new record came out like this and they're like, Chris, you totally got to hear this,
and this is what it sounds like.
I think I'd be okay with it if I actually liked the music.
Yeah. See, I just don't see that at all. To me, this sounds really good. If I heard something like this now, I would. Stuff isn't made like this, really. Let's listen to another song.
Yeah,
let's listen to another song, and we'll see what we
Okay.
think. This is Criminally Insane, 2.5 minutes. In 3, 2, 1. Here's your huge reverb.
Is that strictly necessary, Rick Rubin?
He's like, his right hand is on that high ride. This is some weird place to have a cymbal.
Night will come, and night will follow. All my victims know tomorrow. Make it fast, through time of sorrow. On this trail, I'll make you follow.
It's like, okay, fine, thank goodness it's back. It's like they were really struggling there. Like,
Oh, it's like I mean, like,
keep it contained, keep it contained. Okay, all right. That's really funny. I just think the guitars sound good. I don't know how you could make this sound better than it is. I'm not a guitar person, so like just listening to it, I'm like, this is what they're doing. This is how it should sound.
no, I think so. I mean, I think if you did it now, it'd be brighter.
Maybe, yeah.
And maybe part of it's our playback too, but the drums would be a little punchier. The snare would be a little bit more percussive.
The bass would be rounder.
Yeah, there's bass. Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there
bass
is.
in there.
Yeah.
Some of the guitar sounds are so cool. Like the noises that they make with guitars are so cool.
That's cool.
There's a prohibition about what have I done.
It's straight to the point, and then that's all the songs are. Now, that song was quite different, obviously. The beginning felt... It's weird to have crash cymbals on the snare hits there. You know, he was doing the... And then...
Well, and then they flip the beat around.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he starts to sing, and then it goes into the thrash part. You're like, oh, I can breathe again, because it's like, oh my god, how far off the rails can this get? You know, it is. It's like just barely being contained together in a acceptable pocket, and then everything comes together.
I don't think that was out of time. I think it was just where the accents fell in the bar were weird.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying that it was. It just felt uncontained.
Yes.
It felt like it was just pushing the boundaries of what would be acceptable timing wise, and then it comes together.
But I think that's like, again, Slayer probably wasn't like the first one to like do it like that. But I think that there's a lot of that, especially like in the metal that I like. Will not be providing any specific examples at this current time, but doing that thing, making the beat feel weird. And like giving you an expectation of what's going to happen next, and then breaking it or going or doing it right.
Yeah.
There's probably real musical words. If there is something I absolutely am not, it is a trained musician.
Well, I don't even pretend to be that. So.
Well, no.
But
I'm just saying there's probably musical words to describe.
Hey, by the way, did you see my guitar over there in the corner?
I did.
That is Cody bought that for me for $15 a month ago. And at a garage sale. So
you might have told me that.
That's for you to take home and fix for me.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right. Sorry, we just spent quite a while. I'll probably cut most of that out talking about garage sales and stuff. But hey, that's one of my favorite things in life is buying really cheap stuff from other people. So when you don't have a girlfriend or a significant other or really anything of importance in your life at all, the things that you acquire are what's important to you. And that's what I like, things. So, all right. We are now to Reborn. This is one of the songs with the least amount of plays on their album, and it's 2 minutes and 11 seconds long. So, all right, in 3, 2, 1. This sounds different to me. Just the production, don't you think?
I don't know. We just talked for like 10 minutes.
Maybe.
I was going to say...
You can really hear the bass in this one.
Yeah, you can. The bass sounds different.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the vocal stuff like this. Yeah, sorry. Has someone tried to remake these songs into rap songs?
Probably.
I think I'm kind of over what the solos are already. I don't know.
Yeah. I can...
It's like some bands, like Children of Bodom, like I wait for the solos. It's like the most exciting part. And I don't think I would ever get to that point. But Slayer's not. I'd rather just listen to them jam, you know?
Right. Well...
I hate this style of singing.
It wasn't necessary to have like 6-second reverb tail on that vocal thing.
Maybe at the time it was necessary. I mean, the fact that they chopped all this other stuff off is what was the crazy thing.
I think that, especially right when we went back into that, because as we said, right before we listened to Reborn, we talked for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is about as long as this record is.
Yeah.
And like when we first started that, you said it sounded different, which I don't disagree with. It'd been too long for me to make a good comparison. But my first thought was, this is a lot like every other riff on this record, which I'm not saying as a complaint, because when I listen to, especially like
you probably listen to this whole album.
You listen to the whole thing at once, and I don't even like. I have said in the past to people that like I know all the Slayer songs, but like I don't know what most of them are called because I just put the record on and listen to it, and like whatever. And I think that that's sort of the point, because listening to them song by song is kind of weird, and the records are short, which is something that I like about it.
Right, and I think, you know, it's so funny too, because I've thought about this before too. Like, there are certain albums that I have that are pretty much just pummeling assault the entire time, and those records are never over 40 minutes long. Like, you can't listen to. I mean, you could, but really, it's taxing on the person listening to it. Well,
but when we're turning this into a much longer activity.
The way we're doing this is the worst way to listen to this.
Yeah.
But it's still fun to like talk about each song individually.
So if this is your first time listening to Slayer, don't listen to it like this. Stop, forget what you heard, and then just go listen to the whole thing.
I know people should never listen to any album we react to for the first time with us. The point of this is for me listening to it for the first time.
For you to get mad about it and write it in the comments.
And also, like, I'm analytical about this stuff. You know, I'm not listening to it to really enjoy it. I am, but like, you know, it's I think about music differently than most people probably do. And so like for me, I think this works better. But like, I don't know. I thought my first impression of that was I liked the drums. I thought they sounded nice, that song, and I liked what they were doing the entire time.
Yeah, I couldn't quite put my finger on how exactly they sounded different, and it might have been just all the same stuff.
Well, hold on. How stupid are we? Let's listen to. Just hold on. Well, that's a bad one.
That's a bad one.
So then, not that one. That sounds the same.
Hold on.
I like the double kick here. I like the, you know.
But maybe it's just the way that it's just the way the snare drum's being hit, but on the beginning of Altar of Sacrifice, there's a lot more strainer I'm hearing than, like, that's all strainer.
Yeah.
Or that's a lot strainer. And God, that riff is so good.
All right, we're going to Epidemic in 3, 2, 1. Wow. More of a rolling feel. This has more of a Metallica sound.
Yeah.
I don't know, sometimes I'm like, ooh, it sounds like James, and sometimes I'm like, ooh, it doesn't at all. Definitely not when he's doing the...
Yeah, that is not very much like Metallica.
Yeah, no. Metallica's like, oh, my breath is worst song in the world. I bet they don't have any one. Nothing like that to embarrass their catalog. I also have to say the lack of wah pedal is a little disappointing too. But that's all right. They make up for it with the bendy bar. Yeah?
Yes, the bendy bar.
Well, we'll have to listen to one of their later albums when they're in their new metal phase. Then I'll bet they'll be wah all over the place there. All at the wazoo.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there's a lot of room in that tone. Ooh, a little gallopy in there. Dun, 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 dun. Did Metallica tour with Slayer at this time?
I don't know. I don't think so.
That's interesting. I mean, it makes sense that they wouldn't have, but... I like that one. That was probably one of my favorite ones. Definitely my favorite one is the first track, Angel of Death. So far, by far my favorite. There was like, there was cool stuff in that. Not that there wasn't, but that song was. There were sections to that song that were clearly different. So I like that one. It's like a full big song. Whereas everything else so far, pretty much the same.
But I think that's part of what we're missing, because if you just listen to the whole thing straight through,
then you're getting the different. Because there's been a couple songs where it's done different things. Yeah, you're right, and maybe for sure. I mean, and that's just kind of the way it goes. But really, we only have 2 songs left. I think we will listen to the other 2 songs just to see what happens. I'm really curious about that remix for the Criminally Insane song, because if it's just a remix from the time, rather than some modern interpretation or bullcrap of it, but if it's almost a minute longer, so
I wonder what that means.
So I don't know what it could be, but let's just listen to the next one.
Okay.
Do you want to listen to the next one and go into Raining Blood, or
let's do that.
Okay, we'll just do that, and then we'll get the full feeling of it. This is Postmortem, and I just started it. So if I have to take the music out.
Rips
okay.
Too.
I was going to say, there's not a lot of tom drums on this album.
No, that fill in Epidemic was one of the first big, like, drum fills maybe the first one we've had like that. This
is nice. He likes to do that high ride hat, or the fast ride hat.
Yep.
Fast ride. Ride hat. No one ever said ride hat. It's not a hat. Ride.
Yes, the ride symbol.
The ride hat.
Tourniquet around your neck, sifting away debris of hated life. Cold touch of death begins to chill your spine, seeking life beyond your parachment, repeating words echoing through your mind.
That was a weird little extra beat in there.
There's stuff like that all over Slayer songs, so they're like one time through a riff,
they'll do
one thing will be a little different.
Well, the songs are so short, they only do the riffs like 2 or 3 times through.
Most
or 4.
Record, yeah.
Do they have longer songs later on? Wow. Oh, cool. Ooh. Yeah. Hey, you can't win them all.
It's still cool they did it.
Yeah. And I wonder how long they had to record this.
Yeah.
I should have looked that up, but sometimes bands recorded stuff like this in a week.
Yeah.
Now, with Rick Rubin, I doubt
There's no way I believe with Rick Rubin.
Cool. This is an extra section of the song right here. This is like all the songs kind of crammed together. I can see the whole crowd. Do you want to die? You can't sing. Do people sing this in a crowd at Slayer shows? Are there guys in the crowd going?
I mean, parts of it. Some people like it or everything, right? But like,
it's funny to think about. Okay, this is Raining Blood.
Yeah, this is.
So it starts with the previous song ringing out.
I guess it does.
So when they play it on the radio and stuff, it just. I bet there's a version without that in it.
There's gotta be.
Okay. Are those guitars?
It's the rain.
No. Those.
Oh, yeah, those are guitars. But it's cooler when you think about that the rain is blood.
Yes, you can visualize. I picture like a sweet Ralph Bakshi cartoon, you know, like wizards or...
You've never heard this riff before.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This is probably used in wrestling like 40 times.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've heard this. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I could probably play this on the guitar. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, everybody. I could not play this on the guitar. I just meant I
This
know
part's
it
not
well.
so hard. The next part is
I don't think I could play
very
it.
hard to wrap my mind around.
There's those triplets. Oh, whoa.
Like, what's going on there?
I don't even have any... I can't
But
even...
somehow it works.
I couldn't even picture their hands in my head, like what was happening.
Sky is turning red. Return to power, toss near. Follow to me, the sky scripts in tears. Abolish the rules made
That was an
of stone.
incredibly epic beginning to a song, though. Like, holy crap. Oh. I like that double kick. It sounds really good. You know, it's thuddy. Breaking the law, breaking the law. That's what it sounded like he said that. That's a signature riff. Holy crap.
Yeah, that is like the...
That's like the foundation of every band I like. You know, In Flames, Soilwork, Raunchy, Demon Hunter, Nemec. Well, maybe not Nemec, but like... Take a little of this and mix it with Meshuggah and you got my metal right there. And this is great. This was before Pantera?
Oh, yeah.
Because this is basically what Pantera
This is
right?
a lot like... Yeah, the end of Domination is pretty similar to this, right? Like...
This is so cool. Holy crap, this is cool. Oh, I wasn't paying attention there. Did he double his guitar on the left there, or was he doing the? He was doing the da 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 da. Was he doing the dun 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 part? We may have to go back. That was like multiple takes of that.
Oh, yeah, there's just noise going on in the middle, all reverbed out, right? Up
Yeah.
here. And all over. But what a cool idea to put the noise inside of the rhythm guitar. Because
Yeah.
the rhythm guitars are still playing hard, right?
Oh yeah! Wow! That's not the end, is it?
It's still raining blood.
That's the end of the album, huh? It just kind of ends like that?
The lightning goes off.
Yeah, but the song didn't really end.
I think that's the point.
Well, that... You know how I hate songs that refuse to end.
It ends with the... It ends like as fast as...
I'm sorry.
It's not a fade out. They don't
That's
repeat the
disappointing
same
to me.
part.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
That was huge letdown for such an epic thing. That's definitely the first time I've ever heard that full through. I don't think I've ever heard past that first part.
Well, I was
Hold on.
gonna say at the beginning when
I want to
like,
go back to the middle part.
No,
here.
like go to 2:30. You're on the wrong song.
Oh, idiot. Okay. Oh no, see, he is still playing the da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
He's just playing in between. I mean, that's cool. Because I was like, was there an overdub there? But no. No overdubs on this whole dang album at all, from what I can tell. Other than like some lead stuff and...
Well, the rhythm guitars keep going while the lead guitars do, so those the leads are all over.
The leads are overdubbed, for sure. Let's just listen through this again. So what do they do live here? Are they just doing rhythm and... Or one of the guys just goes
One of the
crazy?
guys, yeah, that's... I don't remember that specifically, but I'm sure that that's what they do.
It's cool, but it's also... Okay, hold on. I want to hear what it ends. Now, the fact that it cuts out...
The editing is a little crappy.
The fact that it cuts out is garbage. If it could have been... And there should have been an explosion, too. You know, I mean, it... Whatever, it's 1986, but that's really disappointing to me. Maybe the fact that they did that and cut it off so abruptly is like so like shocking that it like...
I mean, kind of it is, because it sort of sounds like it's going to do one of those things where and then the drums come in kind of slower and then it goes to another riff, but no, you get thunder and then...
Well, first of all, there's like a tiny bit of absolute silence, which is terrible.
The edit is bad.
But I kept waiting for there to be like a...
right? Like...
You know, just a little measure. So that's how the album ends. That's really interesting. It's kind of cool. I mean, it's a cool way to end the album for sure.
And as I remembered it, and who knows if it's changed with versions or what, but I did not know that postmortem rang out into Raining Blood, and I thought the rain at the beginning was longer. I remember like having to... Oh, see, it does...
No, sorry, that was still continuing. Let's listen to what the very beginning is when we just started there.
Okay. Nah, so it does.
It sounds like it could have just started right there.
Yeah.
So that's a good edit. But it is hanging out from the previous track.
Yes, but it's edited.
But it sounds like it could have just been a downbeat. Yeah. They did that smart.
I thought it was longer until the first tom drums came in, but...
Huh. I wonder if there's... Okay, well, while we're here, let's listen to the next track.
Well, okay, so that's the end of the album.
The way it was released in '86. And then there's 2 bonus songs here. We have Aggressive Perfector, and I'm curious...
But you know that, like, millions of kids, like...
freaked out.
You're like, dude, you gotta listen to this, and then it ends, and you just sit there for the next 30 seconds of Rain Sound, you're like, what the hell just happened for the last 30 minutes?
For sure. Oh, at the time, I'm sure it was just like, what is it? Now, I would be really curious.
But the thing that's so cool about it, and I've said this about Slayer records before, it's partially due to their length, that they're short.
Oh, sure.
At least the first handful of Slayer records are short. But every time, and including here at the end of Raining Blood, like, when it gets to that point, and it does end sort of weird, it ends totally weird, but, like, when I get to that point, like, I just want more Slayer. Like,
they leave you wanting more.
Like, right, yeah. And then, so what I do, if I haven't done this in a long time because I've listened to Rain and Blood many, many times, but most of the time when I get to that point in the record, I'm like, okay, next Slayer record, and I'll just go listen to South of Heaven.
Just go to the next one.
Until I don't have time to listen to music anymore.
Yeah, one of the things that was, at the time, I do remember this just now, the entire album fits on one side of a cassette. So they put it on both sides. So you just listen to it, and then it flips over and starts the album again.
That's awesome.
Isn't that kind of cool?
That's so cool?
I think that's actually really cool. So that's pretty badass. Okay, so let's just go ahead and listen to this. This, for all we know, this might be Chris's first time ever hearing this song. I don't know.
I don't know the names of lots of Slayer
songs. I'm curious to see if this is sonically completely different, like if it was from a demo or something, or if it's from the same, if it sounds the same. We'll see. This is Aggressive Perfector.
Does sound different. Sounds like demo guitars. Sounds good.
It does sound good. Less distortion on his voice. When was Faith No More a band? They've been around the same time.
That was bass noise.
It was. Fret noise, yeah. What the hell? I'm going to go listen to a song from their first album and just see how different it sounds then.
Okay.
Just to see.
Okay.
Purely for production reasons.
What do you mean less distortion on his voice?
He has more of a clean tone he's singing with.
He's singing cleaner.
Yeah, he's singing clean, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, not digital distortion or artifacting or anything like that.
Oh, so I bet, I don't know. This was from one of the earlier albums, and they re-recorded it, and it must have been around this time.
Gotcha.
Again, I didn't look it up. I just looked at the Google search results, and that's the implication that I got. Tell me why I'm wrong down in the comment section.
Wow, that's very far right.
Yeah, those are wider than any other solos we've been so far. Towards the end of the record, they were barely off center, right?
Yeah. Are you a fan of Cradle of Filth?
I've not listened to enough of it to know.
They have a new album coming out this year, and I was thinking we should do a reaction to that, but I don't think anyone would watch that video. Let us know in the comments. I've been interested in them, but I don't know. They have a theatricalness that I think I would like, but I don't know. The drums are so clean and clear, it sounds like MIDI drums.
I love that drum sound.
I do too. I was thinking of that earlier. I was like, the cymbals all sound like fake cymbals. Because every cymbal that was recorded for those keyboards in the 80s was just a real cymbal recorded, you know what I mean? It just sounds like this.
I really like that drum sound. I wonder what the story with that song is. No, I will not look it up.
Okay, so this is Criminally Insane Remix. Let's go listen to the beginning of Criminally Insane here and just see.
I don't know. Those drums sound good.
I mean, there's beefiness to them. I like the snare.
When go back and listen to these drums again. Where's the snare drum?
To the right a little. Is that what you mean?
Okay, where's the reverb for the snare drum?
On the left. Right? Is that what you mean?
And it's like, it's way. No. There's a short delay, and the delay is shorter.
It's like a stereo delay type thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so this is the remix in 3, 2, 1. I'd love it if it's a dance remix.
That's the beginning of Raining Blood. That's the guitar track for Raining. Right? That's what's going on with the rain sounds. Yeah. Oh, you don't know. But that's what that is.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to make you think that it's raining blood, and then the time-based effects on the drums are way different. Now the kick drum is super
wide
and really left heavy. It's that off-time kick drum that's doing that.
The snare.
I don't like any of this. Somebody tried to stereo widen it or something.
Yeah, this is weird.
It's quite unpleasant. Are you getting most of the kick drum out of the left side?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yes. Almost all of it. Just the low. The cymbals just kicked out.
Why is all the high frequency in his voice gone?
I have no idea. This is a affront to music. Why is this on a Slayer record?
I don't know. Cymbals really loud.
Is this an alternative way they were trying to mix it back in the day? Okay, we gotta look up what the story with this is, because this is unacceptable.
Ooh.
Oh. It says this was the mix that they had on a vinyl release. This is a mix they did for vinyl release.
Huh. It's dumb.
That came out it was a maxi single from 1987. This is the artwork for it.
Huh. I really did. I mean,
this is awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is terrible.
It's almost over.
I know, but I want to purge us of that. We'll listen to something good again.
Oh, go listen to, not that this will be good.
Oh, the first album?
Well, or even the one before this is really similar. Yeah, so Show No Mercy or Hell Awaits.
Oh, hold on, I gotta... Show No Mercy.
But why don't we go, which one was...
Show No Mercy is 1983.
But then on Haunting the Chapel, go up, has Aggressive Perfector on it.
That's a live one.
Oh, okay.
So you want Haunting that's an EP from 84. You want Haunting the Chapel?
Yeah, no, Aggressive Perfector goes in the same song the other one we just listened to.
Oh.
Since that made it onto the... See, this sounds like high school. This was one of the bonus tracks on Rain and Blood.
Right.
Oh, the drums go the wrong way.
That was also distorted or clicked or something. This isn't the way the other song started.
Is it not? I don't remember.
I don't think.
No, it did not start like this.
This is like the way you start a show.
Yeah. This kind of sounds like early Metallica. Yes. Doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
This sounds like...
Sorry, I dropped it literally.
And this is just punk rock. So listen to something from...
Yeah, from their first album.
Whatever, pick one. I don't know what any of these songs are.
Black Magic.
Okay. Oh, that one's maybe the most played one.
Is it? Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh, let's do it.
Hey, heck yeah. All right, this is Black Magic off of their first album.
Show No Mercy.
With a dude and two swords and a thing and a thing. Oh, that's a cool... Their logo was originally with swords. That's pretty sweet.
They're always like that.
Oh, I guess I didn't realize.
Bass sounds good. It's like rock and roll bass.
Very round. No definition.
This is way better than I thought it was.
Really? That kick is awful.
No.
It's just a click.
There's a lot of low frequency in that. I like it. I didn't think this sounded this good.
Well, you'll have to go back and listen to
I'm going to have to go listen to it.
Now, this is probably remastered as well.
Yeah, but I didn't think the source material was this good.
Let's hear his vocals.
Yes, that's how Slayer songs go. How much reverb?
Sorry if I just sprayed snot on you. Holy crap.
Wow, he
Holy
is half a mile away with the door closed.
And they got the delay. They're really letting us know.
Yeah. Those instruments sound way better than I thought this stuff sounded like.
Wow, he's just all over the place.
The low frequency is all loose and
yeah, very kind of a little muddy. But yeah, the guitars aren't bad.
Too much reverb.
Here, let's do something real fun.
Oh, wait, when did Hell Awaits come out?
When did what?
Hell Awaits go up. These are not in chronological order. Oh, Hell Awaits was before.
Well,
the year before.
We were listening to an EP. This is the Haunting the Chapel was an EP before.
Yeah, 84, and then Hell Awaits. I thought Hell Awaits
Was their
and
first
Show
one.
No Mercy were right next to each
Here,
other.
let's just again. I'm kind of way better. Well, the bass is very farty.
This is worse.
The drums sound better.
I disagree. Well,
I don't know. There's reverb on the guitars.
there's reverb on the guitars all through.
I know. But I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
go listen to something new then.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's go have some fun. Let's listen to something from their most recent album.
That's the live one. Go down. Yeah,
Pamphlets?
just listen to the title track. That's fine. I like this song.
Meat. There's meat on the bone now.
There's no high frequency in those guitars.
No. Well, this was made in the last 10 years, so they just decided to hack all the high frequencies off everything made in the last 10 years.
See, swords.
Jesus ain't looking too good there either.
No, he's not.
Arrogant, violent, world of disarray. Dealing with insanity every fucking day. I hit the light.
Wait, did this come out the same? No, it was the other one. This, I don't know. I like the other stuff we were listening to better.
I do too.
World Painted Blood is okay too.
I'm just curious the production. Wow. Night and day.
This is way better.
This has, yes.
There's high frequency.
There's high frequency in it. 1,000,000%. I'm telling you, it's because they got that new album mastered for vinyl. I'm telling you. Okay, everybody. That was some fun little stuff there. Hopefully some of that won't get us copywritten, and if there is, I'll have to take some of that stuff out from their newer albums. But so that was my first time listening to a Slayer album. We did a good job having a good conversation, I think, there during that, so we don't need to talk too long now. I think towards the end of the album, we were kind of realizing that the way we were, and we do this all the time when we do reactions, that is not the way to listen to an album like this. We should listen to it all the way in a row. If we would have done that, we would have been done in a half hour. So I think the way we did it, still we had a lot of good conversation. But it's funny, like just listening to that. If you said would I rather listen to that or Ride the Lightning or Master of Puppets, I would probably choose Rain and Blood way before I would choose the other
Well, I
ones.
would also definitely say that.
Which is interesting because I do think that Metallica definitely does more of a variety of things on those albums, and that's usually my thing is usually I want clear definition between songs. Like I want every song to feel like its own unique thing.
Yeah.
And I do feel like Metallica does that way more than Slayer did here. I think I might feel differently if I listened to the album all the way in a row, but it definitely did feel like you were saying, like there's high parts or not high parts. There's aggressive parts and then there's slower parts. Helicopter outside. Yeah. There's parts where it does change and there's more dynamics or the drums are doing something way different. And so I think it would feel more dynamic if you listen to the album as a whole. As a whole piece, it would feel like there's more variety. Because when listening to each song like we did, like almost like it's hard to differentiate from song to song, and I could tell that would be like learning the names of the songs of Slayer's discography would be really hard. Whereas like I can think in my head Metallica, like obviously the two songs on that album were the first one and the last one.
Yes.
But when I think of Metallica, I can think of like, Fade to Black has its own unique thing. What's the first song on Ride the Lightning? The one that starts with the acoustic guitar. Fight Fire with Fire. That has its own thing. Orion has its own thing, or whichever one is the Call of Cthulhu, whatever. So, like, there are differentiating things, and so I like that aspect of it. But like I said the whole time, I think the Slayer album was mixed way better. Way better.
We could have went and listened to some Metallica.
I thought about it.
I don't have any.
That would probably get us taken off. That would get copywritten probably. Not because Metallica wouldn't want to, but if you start using different artists in the same video, It's
doesn't like
tough.
that.
Yeah. And they might not like us using Slayer at all. We might have to upload this whole video without the music in it, which if I have to do, I apologize, everybody. That will be the last you hear of Slayer on this channel. But
Patrick listened to it and didn't hate it. I'm kind of surprised.
I did not hate it at all. In fact, I think I probably liked it way more than I liked it more than I thought I was going to. But I thought I was going to like it. You know, I do like some pretty heavy music. That's pretty aggressive and heavy, and it's not necessarily my favorite thing, but I think. Oh, this would be an interesting thought. Do more of the bands that I like harken back to this or to Metallica more? And I would almost think I would almost say this more, riff-wise and stuff.
Really?
I think so. Maybe. I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. Just not too much stuff feels very Metallica-y to me. I don't know. I'm just talking those two bands because those are the two I have to compare to.
Yes.
You know, when
we are contractually obligated to compare everything to Metallica.
Well, and most of the people on this channel, when we upload a Metallica video, it gets 70,000 views. When I upload a Birthday Massacre reaction, it gets 200 views.
As rightfully so.
So, well, I mean, that comparatively, those two bands.
But these two bands did happen at the same time. They did get called the same thing. They were from a similar geographic location. Mm-hmm. They did play, I don't think that, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I was born in 1986. Was not going to shows at that time. But it looks like Slayer and Metallica, any that they played together was in the modern era.
Okay.
Like
when they were the Big Four
thing.
Yeah.
That and a couple other shows after that, but it didn't look like they went on a tour
Yeah.
together. But like, why would Metallica do that? Number one, Metallica doesn't need Slayer. Metallica doesn't really need anybody to go. And like, Metallica would have to play last. And what
I would have assumed, yeah.
What are you gonna do? Just get your ass beat by Slayer every single night?
That's true. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. And what we've been learning recently, remember I think we talked about it in our last Metallica video, that Metallica insists like that their bands that open for them are so many dB lower than them.
Oh, yeah.
And you're not going to turn Slayer down.
Right.
You know, but I mean, I'm sure they have toured together and Metallica did play last and Slayer did get turned down, but Slayer's like, well, Metallica, you are Metallica, so we will gladly go with you.
Break of palate cleansing music.
Yeah, they played a lot of Leonard Skinner in between sets.
Yes,
there. Yeah,
indeed.
yeah. Okay, so here's a question then. Have you seen Slayer live then, Bolt?
Yes.
Probably, I would assume.
Yeah, at least twice. I saw them once with Primus and Phil doing Pantera with the Illegals and Ministry. That was 2019.
That's crazy. That's a crazy show.
Yeah, and I really thought that Primus was going to be weird, but it wasn't. Like, Primus on that show was really cool. And then I saw them outside in Kansas City with Behemoth. Behemoth playing in Behemoth and Lamb of God. Behemoth played in the daylight, which was really weird.
That's kind of a bummer.
I didn't listen to the new Behemoth, and I probably won't. That single that came out was too cringy, and you guys that know, I don't think I can listen to Behemoth anymore.
Okay, yeah, I haven't. I don't know much about Behemoth. I get them and Mastodon mixed up. I think
that's really weird.
Yeah,
Not just because you don't know.
I think it's because their album covers are Baroness. All those bands.
Getting Mastodon and Baroness messed up makes.
Okay, maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. Maybe rather than Behemoth. I don't know. I think I just think of their album covers, and that's like all I have for a reference. So, all right. Well, that's all this needs to be. Thank you, everybody, for watching. This was a really fun thing, kind of unexpected for us to do, but I wanted to do this. One thing I do want to mention, I personally liked doing this rather than the way we did the Megadeth thing, which was listening to 4 songs from across their catalog. I thought that I would like that more and that it would be a shorter video, but I'd rather have a longer video like this where we listen to one full album.
Plus, I wouldn't have listened to a whole Megadeth record.
Right. So I do think I enjoyed this more, but please let us know in the comments, because I do still want. There are other bands I want to do that 4 songs from across their catalog thing too. Like I want to do it with Iron Maiden, because I don't think I can listen to a full Iron Maiden album. It'd be fun to do that with Judas Priest. There's a few other bands that I just don't think, because of the singer, I could really listen to a full album from them. But maybe, I don't know. I'd have to see. I think Iron Maiden is interesting because a lot of the bands that I like In Flames and the Gothenburg metal stuff, they all say they're very influenced by Iron Maiden. So I'd be curious to hear.
So like that thing that the Evanescence girl does, she's just trying to sound like Bruce Dickinson.
Well, she's a female, so she should naturally have a high-pitched voice and sing falsetto. A man should have balls. So I don't know what.
A lot of people feel threatened by men that sing in high voices.
Physically threatened.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah. It's something. Its own thing. It's not my thing. That's fine.
Okay.
They're not as good as singers as me. That's
for sure.
Everyone on this channel, every comment. What have you ever done? Nothing. Nothing. Don't listen to me. I just got cancer. Lived through it, you bastards. All right. Thanks, everybody, so much. Well, you're a part of the Discord. You all still watching. You know what's going on. Let us know how you feel about the video. We'll see you all next time.
Bye.